Lena's heart raced as she looked around the alien city. Towering buildings of strange metals and glowing lights stretched into the sky. The streets buzzed with creatures she had never seen before. Tall, winged beings, others with scales like armor, and many more whose forms seemed to shimmer in colors she couldn't name. She had crash-landed here only a few days ago, her small spaceship mangled beyond repair. She had survived the journey, but now she was trapped in a world where every step could be dangerous. Her survival instincts had served her well so far. She had learned to avoid dangerous gangs, found a place to sleep in an abandoned building, and even traded some human supplies for alien food. But nothing could have prepared her for this. A royal messenger had found her the previous night. A glowing emblem on his uniform marked him as a servant of the Alpha King, the ruler of this entire planet. Lena had no choice. She had to obey when he said, "You are to come to the palace immediately." Now, standing at the palace gates, Lena felt the weight of fear and curiosity pressing down on her. The gates were enormous, carved with intricate symbols that seemed to move in the light. Two enormous guards, each taller than 3 humans stacked on top of each other, watched her silently. She stepped forward, trying to look calm. Inside, the palace was even more breathtaking. Light streamed through tall windows, reflecting off floors made of polished crystal. Strange plants hung from the ceilings, glowing softly, filling the air with a subtle, sweet scent. Lena had never seen anything like this. She felt very small, very human, and very out of place. A deep voice echoed through the hall. "Lena," she turned to see him. The Alpha King. He was even more imposing than she had imagined. Broad-shouldered, taller than anyone she had ever seen, with dark, sharp eyes that seemed to pierce right through her. His armor glimmered faintly under the palace lights, and a long, dark cape trailed behind him. He did not smile. He did not show any warmth. But Lena felt a strange pull toward him, something she couldn't explain. "You have arrived," he said. His voice was calm yet powerful, commanding respect without needing to shout. I am here, Your Majesty," Lena said, bowing slightly, though her legs trembled. The king studied her carefully. "I need your help," he said finally. "And I will give you one chance. Refuse and you will be sent away." To die, Lena froze. Die? She had survived so much already. Could she face more? But something in his eyes told her he would keep her alive if she agreed. Somehow. What kind of help?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. He stepped closer, and Lena could feel the power radiating from him. "I need you to be my mate. Not permanently, only to show the clans that I have a bond. This is political. They must believe I have an ally beside me, pretend to be mine, protect me in public, make the alliance real in their eyes." Lena's heart stopped. Mate? She knew nothing about alien relationships, but she understood enough. This could be dangerous. A single mistake and she could be killed. And yet, she also sensed something else. The king was not cruel. Not completely. He respected strength and intelligence, and if she agreed, she might survive, and even gain a place in this strange world. "Very well," she whispered finally. "I will do it." The king's sharp eyes softened slightly. "Good. But there is one condition," he said. Lena held her breath. "You must trust me completely. No hesitation, no secrets. For the duration of this arrangement, your life depends on your obedience and your courage." Lena nodded. She did not know if she could truly obey him or if she could trust him, but she had no choice. Her life depended on it. The next few days were filled with lessons. Lena learned how to move and act like a royal mate. She learned the gestures and customs of the palace, how to bow, how to speak in public, and how to protect herself in a world where even small mistakes could be deadly. The king watched her carefully, correcting her posture, her tone, even the way she looked at others. But he did not just train her in appearance. He tested her courage. They walked together in dangerous parts of the city, where rival clans waited in the shadows. Lena had to stay calm, rely on her wits, and sometimes defend herself using only her human skills and instincts. Each time she was amazed at how much the king trusted her to act on her own, and yet she also felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her shoulders. One evening, as the twin suns of the planet set in fiery red and orange across the sky, the king spoke to her privately. They stood on a balcony overlooking the palace gardens, alien plants glowing softly under the night sky. "You have done well," he said, "but the real test is coming." "What test?" Lena asked, her voice trembling slightly. "You must attend the Council of Clans tomorrow," he said. "They will be watching you closely. If you fail to act convincingly as my mate, the alliance fails, and you may not survive." Lena swallowed hard. The council was a dangerous gathering of the strongest, most cunning leaders on the planet. One wrong move could mean disaster, but she also felt a spark of determination. She would not fail. She had survived this long. She could survive anything. That night she lay in her small quarters, staring at the glowing ceiling above. Her thoughts kept returning to the king. There was something about him that was different from all the rulers she had heard about in stories or history. He was strong, but he was also thoughtful, fearsome but careful, and she could not deny that a part of her heart was already racing at the thought of being near him, even if only for survival. The next day, the council assembled. Lena stood beside the king, her posture perfect, her face calm. The alien leaders eyed her with suspicion, whispering among themselves in languages she did not understand. The king held her hand briefly, a silent signal of trust. Lena felt a surge of courage. She could do this. When it was her turn to speak, she addressed the council in their language. She spoke carefully, using words the king had taught her. She nodded, smiled, and showed loyalty. She could see some of the leaders' eyes widen, impressed by her confidence. Others remained skeptical, but she held her ground. As the session ended, the king leaned close to her. "You have done well," he whispered. "But remember, my condition still stands. Trust me completely. One hesitation and all is lost." Lena nodded, though her heart was still pounding. She realized that this arrangement was far more dangerous than she had imagined. And yet, she also realized that she was beginning to understand the king. He was not just a ruler. He was a protector, a strategist, and perhaps something more. As she left the council chambers, she looked up at the Alpha King. He watched her, his dark eyes unreadable. But Lena felt a strange certainty. She would survive. She would prove herself. And perhaps she would discover that even in a world so alien, courage and heart could shine. The night fell again over the glowing city. Lena walked through the palace gardens, thinking of the coming challenges. She had agreed to pretend to be a mate. She had accepted the king's condition. And her heart, well, it was already starting to race in ways she could not control. She did not know what the future held, but she knew one thing for certain. She would not back down. She would face every test, every danger, and every secret of this alien world. And somehow, she felt that the king might be doing the same. For Lena, survival was no longer enough. She wanted to prove her worth. And perhaps, she wanted to understand the man whose power, mystery, and strength had made her heart stop at the very first word. The sun rose slowly over the alien city, casting long, glowing shadows across the palace. Lena stood on the balcony of her quarters, staring at the bustling streets below. Her heart was still racing from the council meeting the night before. She had survived the test, impressing even the most skeptical clan leaders, yet she knew the real challenges were only beginning. The Alpha King appeared silently beside her. He did not knock. He never needed to. His presence alone was commanding. Lena felt the familiar mix of fear and respect, but also a strange warmth. Somehow she had grown used to him being near, yet she could never predict what he would do next. "You are ready," he said simply, his eyes scanning the horizon. "The clans will not wait for long. They may test us again today. I need you to stay close and follow my lead. Remember my condition." Lena nodded. She understood. Trust him completely. No hesitation. One mistake could undo everything. She took a deep breath and followed him as he led her through the palace corridors toward the armory. The king selected weapons for both of them. Lena had never held alien weapons before. Some were long and metallic, glowing faintly with energy. Others were small and precise, designed for speed and accuracy. He handed her a compact blade, perfectly balanced in her hand. "This will protect you," he said, "but you must trust yourself as much as you trust me." The words echoed in her mind. Trust, courage, survival. Lena felt a surge of determination. She had learned to survive, but now she was learning to fight, not just for herself, but for the king and for the fragile alliance they had created. Their first test came sooner than expected. A rival clan, known for its deadly assassins, attempted to ambush the king during a public gathering. Lena's heart pounded as shadows moved among the crowd, silent and deadly. She gripped her blade, remembering the king's lessons. "Stay close," he whispered. "Observe, then act." The assassin struck suddenly. Lena acted without thinking, moving instinctively. She blocked a strike aimed at the king, throwing herself forward to protect him. Her human reflexes surprised even her, and she felt a rush of confidence. The king's eyes met hers briefly, a flicker of approval passing between them. Together they fought, moving seamlessly as a team. Lena realized something important. Trusting the king did not mean losing her own instincts. It meant using them wisely in harmony with his guidance. When the battle ended, the crowd cheered and the rival assassins fled. Lena's hand shook, but she smiled. She had survived, and she had helped the king survive too. Later, as they returned to the palace, the king spoke softly. "You did well," he said. "You are more capable than I expected." Lena's cheeks flushed. I just did what I had to," she said. He shook his head slightly. "No, you acted with courage and intelligence. That is rare, even among my people. You are not just pretending to be my mate anymore. You are proving yourself as an equal partner, in action if not in title." Lena felt her heart skip a beat. Equal partner? She had never expected such words. Somehow this alien world, so dangerous and strange, was teaching her something new. Not just survival, but respect, trust, and the power of courage. The days passed quickly. Lena and the king faced many challenges, negotiating with hostile clans, navigating political intrigue, and uncovering plots against the throne. Each challenge required them to work together, relying on strategy, skill, and mutual trust. Lena began to understand the king in ways she could not have imagined. He was not only strong and clever, but fair, thoughtful, and deeply committed to his people. And slowly she noticed a change within herself. Her fear of him, the sharp tension she had felt on their first meeting, began to transform into admiration. She respected his strength, his intelligence, and the careful way he weighed every decision. She even felt something like fondness. One evening, the king took her to the palace garden. Alien flowers glowed softly in the moonlight, and strange birds with luminescent feathers flew overhead. Lena could feel her heart beating faster as they walked side by side. "There is something I must show you," the king said quietly. He led her to a secluded part of the garden where a small pool reflected the stars. "You have passed the tests, Lena, but my condition, your final test, has not yet been fulfilled." Lena looked at him, her heart pounding. "What do you mean?" He turned to her, his dark eyes intense. "Trust is not just obedience or courage. It is the willingness to face the unknown, to step forward even when the outcome is uncertain. Tomorrow you will face a challenge that will test your heart as well as your mind. You must be ready." Her pulse quickened. She had survived so much already, yet the king's words made her realize that the greatest test was still ahead. The following day they traveled to the council of allied clans once more. A tense silence filled the air as Lena and the king entered. The leader's eyes scrutinized her, searching for any sign of weakness or fear. Lena held her head high, her posture perfect. She remembered the king's teachings and felt the strange calm that came from trusting him completely. Suddenly, a commotion erupted. A powerful member of a rival clan challenged the king publicly, accusing him of deceit. Lena felt a surge of fear. The king's life and the fragile alliance were in jeopardy. But she remembered his condition, trust him completely. She stepped forward, placing a hand lightly on his arm. "Your Majesty," she said, her voice steady. "We face these challenges together. I trust you and I stand by you." The king's eyes met hers. In that moment, a silent understanding passed between them. They were no longer just pretending. They were allies, partners, and perhaps something more. With Lena by his side, the king addressed the council. Her presence gave him strength, and together they navigated the political storm. When the meeting ended, the rival clan leader bowed, acknowledging the king's authority. The alliance held. Later, as they returned to the palace, Lena felt a strange sense of pride. She had faced danger, intrigue, and fear, and survived. But more importantly, she had discovered something new about herself. Courage was not just about fighting. It was about trusting, understanding, and stepping forward when it mattered most. That night, the king approached her in the palace gardens. The twin moons of the planet reflected in his eyes, and for a moment, Lena saw a side of him few others had witnessed, a quiet, thoughtful, and surprisingly gentle expression. "You have done more than survive," he said softly. "You have earned my respect. And perhaps in time, you will understand the true meaning of my condition." Lena looked at him, her heart beating fast. She did not fully understand yet, but she knew one thing. She trusted him. She trusted him with her life, her courage, and her heart. And somehow she felt certain that he trusted her too. As she walked back to her quarters, she felt a mixture of relief and anticipation. The battles were not over. The political games were still dangerous, and the king's final test was yet to come. But Lena also felt a strange, thrilling certainty. In a world so alien, so dangerous, and so unpredictable, she had found something truly rare: trust, courage, and the possibility of a bond that went beyond survival. The story of Lena and the Alpha King was far from over. Challenges would come, dangers would rise, and secrets would be revealed. But for the first time in her life, Lena felt ready. She was no longer just a human lost on an alien planet. She was a survivor, a fighter, and perhaps the Alpha King's true partner, in ways that neither of them had yet imagined. As the night deepened and the city lights glowed softly below, Lena took a deep breath. Her heart no longer stopped in fear. It raced with courage, hope, and something new, the spark of trust that might one day grow into something even stronger. And for the Alpha King, standing silently behind her, that spark was already changing him in ways he had not expected.